the most common question I get asked by far is, hey, Dr. Daniel, I want to quit my job and be able to do the things that I do want at any time without actually being at risk of going broke, without being financially constrained. How do I do that? I'm Dr. Daniel, a medical doctor by profession who quit his profession about 3.5 years back. I did quit my medical profession simply to concentrate on my businesses. At that time, it was simply the farm. Right now, I'm actually on the farm, on a Monday morning, seated at the back of my truck, just having a good time. And I can imagine a lot of people who want to live that kind of life without being controlled, but also without worrying that you're not going to have food tomorrow or that you'll get sick maybe in a month or 2 months' time and you're not able to pay the bills. You want to quit your job, but still remain financially strong. How do you do that? Well, I want to share with you how I actually did get to this point and a few nuggets that might help you. Now, the thing about it is that it's not like there are things that I consciously did that I thought at a particular point would make me quit being a doctor and, do the things I want. No, a lot of them were actually subconscious things that I did simply to make my life better, simply to make sure that I get better skills, simply to make sure that I improve myself. But without knowing, I was actually drawing myself towards the path of quitting, leaving medicine, and being free financially. So I sat down, and considering a lot of people keep asking me this question, I decided to come up with some of the things that I feel like defined me and enabled me to get to this point that I can actually share with you and I think would be very helpful for you. So stick around right through to the very end. So the first thing is to know who you are. I kind of, from an early age, got to understand that it is very important that you know who you are, understand your strengths, and understand your weaknesses. It is very important. Now, it's not like you can't work on your weaknesses. It's very important for you to work on your weaknesses, but there are strengths and things that are inside you that inherently make you a better person. Inherently, you can utilize them to get the very best out of you. For a lot of people, they are not great decision makers. There are a lot of people who are just terrible when it comes to making decisions. You place before them a decision and you're trying to ask them what you think would be the wisest decision to make, and they won't make the decision. I mean, they'll just keep there thinking, and then in the end they'll be like, well, I think you ask this person, or what do you think about it? It's important that you understand that because it defines who you are in the future. For example, if you want to be the kind of person who then quits your job to be able to do your own stuff, but you're really terrible at taking decisions, then life is going to be very complicated for you. Very, very complicated. Number two, I understood that it is possible. Yeah, it's very important for you to understand and believe that things are possible. Now, of course, this looks like something small, but it's actually a character that is developed over a long time. For someone to have faith and believe in the fact that they can get things done, no matter their background, it's not something really simple. I'll tell you guys a story about, my secondary school. The secondary school that I went to was, or still is, one of the best secondary schools in my country. Now, I qualified to go there simply because of my brain power, not because of anything else, but I couldn't afford to go to the school. Of course, someone paid my tuition. I've told that story a lot of times on this channel. Someone paid my tuition all throughout my secondary school, and luckily for the university, the government paid it. But just due to the fact that I was in such a good school, I was in an environment where almost everyone I was around was coming from a really well-to-do family. Like, I mean, if visitation day came, or on the days that you're coming to school, everyone is coming in a really cool car, and you're coming by public means, or your dad has to borrow a car for you to be able to drop it off. It's not something I'm proud of, but it's what happened. Now, I do know a few friends who also came from such a background, but for them things were different. They had a low self-esteem because of their background, because of where they came from, and that plays such a huge factor in how you grow up and how you make decisions all throughout your life. For me particularly, I didn't believe that I was inferior to anyone simply because of the fact that my family is poor, or I've come from a background where we don't have too much money. I personally believed that I can make it to any level just like these guys can. I believed in my own ability. I didn't look at them and I was thinking because they are from a well-to-do family, they have better abilities than me. I actually, a lot of times, used to despise them because sometimes they would treat you like trash. Sometimes because you're coming from a poor background, they treat you like you're nobody. And I used to look at them and thinking to myself, do these guys actually understand that the wealth is for their parents and not for them? And like, these guys are really foolish, they're really stupid. I used to look at them as trash sometimes because they're looking at me as trash. So it's very important that you understand who you are, be confident, and believe believe that it's possible. I believed that it is possible. It doesn't matter my background, it doesn't matter my history. I'm able to make it to whatever level that I want. And you see, it looks like a subtle thing, but it affects you so strongly. Your confidence in your ability affects you so strongly. When you're not confident in your ability, you'll miss particular opportunities because you don't think you have the ability and the power to take them on. But if you do believe in your ability and strength to do particular things, then you're able to take up a lot of opportunities and actually implement a lot of things because you know, I mean, if an opportunity comes by, it will actually look like an opportunity to you because you do believe that it's possible. If you don't think it's possible, the opportunity won't appear like an opportunity simply because for you, it's out of your league. Number 3, I was able and willing to work hard no matter the circumstances. So because of growing up in a poor background and family, I got to a particular point where, I'm no longer at, in high school, I'm at the university, and I always have this feeling of responsibility in me. So I felt like it was, a bit irresponsible of me to go asking my parents for money when I'm at the university. I found it quite crazy, honestly. I found it crazy. So I decided to myself that I'm not going to do that. Now I needed money. I needed to make money. And because I needed to make money, I was willing to go out of my comfort zone to make things happen. When I was at the university, I started a business. My very first business at the university, and it wasn't just any normal business. I started a business where I was selling bumper stickers, car bumper stickers on the university campus. Now, I was a medical student and I was running away from medical school during school days. As soon as lectures are done, I ran away from the university, go to the school campus, and I started selling car bumper stickers. And then from there, I started taking the bumper stickers to churches and things like that. Now, a lot of my friends, I can imagine, would bypass and look at me and they're like, this guy? Of course, a lot of them understood that it's a business for me. But a lot of people would imagine that, what the hell is he doing? In fact, he's not going to graduate and become a doctor. Why is he stressing with something like that? I really didn't give a damn. I didn't care. All I needed was money, and I was willing to put in the hard work. And doing the work and putting the work at that point actually taught me a lot of things. Other things that I did was, I was an MC. While at the university, I was an MC and I was also a DJ. So these are gigs I would take on, usually at the end of every academic year, there are parties, class parties and things like that. Because I was a good public speaker, I think I'm still a good public speaker, I was called upon a lot of times to actually be an MC or to be a DJ because I love music. Yeah, and I still do love music. Of course, that's not something I do currently a lot because of being busy and, running a lot of things. But it's an opportunity that I took up with open arms and implemented, and I didn't care what other people thought. I was willing to put in the hard work and get the money, and that taught me a lot of things along the way. Number 4, I was open to learning, very open to learning. Now, the thing is that to make it to the top and actually be financially free, you need a combination of a lot of things that you actually never notice, but if you sit down and look back on them, you actually notice that these are the things that made you. I'll give you guys an example. When I was in my first year at the university, that was the first time I actually did own a computer. That was the first time I had actual consistent access to a computer. So I did own a laptop. Someone, rewarded me for getting really good grades in my high school, and they gave me some money that I utilized to buy a computer. I bought this computer and I started learning graphic designing with it. Started learning graphic designing, and then later on started learning, photo editing, video editing, things like that. Now, these are skills that I personally started using later on. While at the university, these are the skills that I utilized, for example, to design bumper stickers. These are skills I utilized to design campaign posters during campaign periods that then I could sell to people, and then, I could get some money to keep in my pocket. These are skills I later on utilized on the YouTube channel. At the beginning, before, I got too busy, I started shooting and editing all YouTube videos myself. Now, I could never have done this if I hadn't got these skills earlier on. Of course, I could have decided to start learning them right there at the point where I'm starting the YouTube channel, but that would have wasted time and the videos probably wouldn't have been as good as they were. But having these skills, prior skills, which I learned without knowing what use I'm going to utilize them for in the future, actually turned out to be a positive thing. So you need to learn as many skills as possible. Yeah, a lot of times when you're learning these skills, you don't know how important they're going to be to you. For example, I also learned Spanish. I've shared this on the channel a lot of times. Yeah, Spanish became one of those things that opened me up to the outside world. Honestly, when I was learning Spanish, I only learned Spanish because I loved to play the guitar, and I had a Spanish tune which I thought would be nice for me to sing along while playing. That was the main reason that I decided to learn Spanish, because I wanted to sing along to a song. But I was like, well, let me go and learn the language. There's nothing wrong with learning an extra language. It took me a few months of practicing it, and I got to a point where I'm quite okay. I'm okay. I can't tell you that I'm perfect, but if I went to Spain, I could live very comfortably. I'll get everything I need. I'll get involved in conversations. I'll go for a movie night and I'm good. So that turned out to be something really important to me because it opened up opportunities to me to get outside my country and have my eyes opened up to particular things that I would never have learned earlier on if I didn't take across this opportunity. Also, when I took my very first job as a doctor, I became a team leader. And I was working for an organization, an NGO. And because I was working for an NGO, it had a lot of systems, you know, reporting systems, systems for reporting stock, systems for, you know, following up with leadership and all those kinds of things. And these are things that I took at heart because I knew later on when I do start a business or a lot of things, these are systems and things that I'm going to utilize. They have turned out to be helpful in, for example, me running a poultry farm. They've turned out to be very helpful. So you need to have a learning heart and a heart that's open to learning. Take up as many skills as possible. Don't sit down to yourself and start thinking, why am I wasting my time doing this? Why am I getting this skill right now? It's totally useless for my life right now. No, it might be useless for your life right now, but you never know how important it could be for your future. Maybe if I was working for the organization and they are stressing me about the stock taking templates and everything, I could have left it and you know, not struggled with the stock. But then later on when I'm starting my businesses and I need to follow up with stock, it would be a skill that I need to learn from zero, yet I could have gotten it from somewhere simply for free. So be open to learning as much as possible. Number 5, I was willing to risk it all. Yeah, now of course I reached a particular point where I had to leave my medical profession. I was ready to leave my medical profession. I was quite ready. But you see, I keep learning and hearing from a lot of businessmen. And the thing about businessmen, the really wealthy businessmen, is that they go all in on something. Of course, using mental power and decisions. Yeah? The thing that characterizes successful businessmen is their willingness and ability to take risk, to be ready to risk it all. Now, for you to be able to do that, you need to be confident in the fact that even if you lost it all, you can get it all back together. And that's where confidence and believing that it's possible comes in. But at this point, you have to be able to risk it all. Yeah, I risked my medical profession. Of course, I didn't know that in case something happens, I can always go back to my medical profession. But I didn't care. I didn't give a damn. Yeah, people were talking and they were like, well, why are you leaving your medical profession? Why are you leaving your medical work to go and do something else? I was ready to risk it all. I didn't care if something happens in the poultry world. If YouTube one day closes and I can't even get a single shilling from YouTube, I was still willing to actually risk it all. I was at that point where I didn't have a family, you know, I wasn't married, I didn't have children. And I knew that, well, in case it comes all crumbling down, it's okay, I will start over. But in case it works out, then I'm going to hit it really big. So I took up the opportunity. So for you to get to this point, you have to have that character in you that is willing to risk it all. Number 6, I made smart decisions. Yes, now, of course, I've talked about making decisions earlier on as part of understanding who you are. But here I'm talking about making decisions as a thing that is actually very important for you to be financially free. You need to be a good and great decision maker and make really, really smart decisions. You need to be able to weigh the risks. You need to be able to minimize your risk while maximizing your reward, or create some form of balance in between there. It's very, very important. So, for example, when I started out and I was earning money as a doctor, I had very many options. One of the options could have been for me to buy a car and maybe to get married and start a family because I'm earning money. But I decided to not utilize that money for those things and save the money and utilize it to start a business. For me, I was more willing to start a business and risk starting a business than, you know, spend my money and utilize it for other things. So you need to be a great decision maker. You need to be able to take smart decisions. You need to be able to think critically, think deeply upon decisions and take responsibility for these decisions. If you take responsibility for these decisions and understand that if you don't make a smart decision, the problem is actually going to come back to you. But if you make a smart decision, you're actually going to get the great results out of it. Then you'll be more intentional about making smart decisions. And also you'll be more intentional about learning. If you want to make smart decisions, you're more open to learning. For example, I want to make smart financial decisions, then I'm more open to reading financial books. So if you're intentional and want to make smart decisions, you'll be more open to learning. So you need to make sure that you make great smart decisions for you to get to that point. And then finally, I was willing and open to learn and work with the right people. The thing about getting to the top is that you never do it alone. No, you never do it alone. I personally do have mentors, people who earn way more money than me, people who are smarter and brighter than me that I look up to. Well, I don't know if they are smarter, but they have certainly gotten there. And from their experience, I can learn a lot of things. So I'm open to learning from them, implementing the things that have gotten them to the top and utilizing them in my own life. Yeah. If you're not the kind of person who is willing to work with other people, who is willing to partner with other people, who is willing to, you know, take notes from other people, then you're never ever going to get it to the top, because then that means you're going to be learning from experience. And learning from experience is the slow way, because experience usually takes a lot of time. It takes years, but you can learn from things that people have, taken years to implement, but they can give it to you in a few minutes. So you need to be open to working with the correct people, learning from the smartest people. Once you do that, they open up opportunities for you, and they even help you when it comes to making decisions. When you look at them and you see what they have done, you're more confident when it comes to you making a decision. Now, I know that a lot of people actually want to leave their professions because they feel like it will make them happy. Yeah, they feel like if I stop practicing as a doctor, if I leave that job as an accountant, if I leave that job as a banker, I'm going to be happier. I'm going to be more fulfilled. And it can be true, but it's not always the case. For example, I thought that quitting my job as a doctor would make me happier. That's what I thought. But after some time, after I quit, I actually noticed that quitting is not actually what made me happier. There are a lot of other things that play a huge role in determining whether you're happy or not. Now, I made a video about that, about me quitting my job and how actually it didn't bring happiness. I'll leave a link to that video right here. You can check it out. It will help you a lot in terms of self-discovery. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, smash the notification bell. That way you never miss out on an upload. Catch you very soon with another video. Lots of love. Bye-bye.